And we're coming up on, okay, 10 seconds left, 5 seconds, you get ready to go, time, all right, he loses. He exceeded his 90 seconds, and it's cumulative. So he used a minute in the first round of my example, he only has 30 seconds left when he calls for his second injury timeout, okay? Blood time, if we see blood, then we stop it immediately, okay? And this is, I think, true in all sports now. If there's multiple things going on, blood timeout takes precedence, okay? So, yeah, let's say two guys wrestling, they conk heads, and you notice this guy, they both conked heads, this guy's a little wobbly, he's the first one you start noticing, injury time red, and then they got the injury clock going, and then all of a sudden you look over here and, oh, his nose is bleeding. So when they conk heads, okay, stop the injury clock. Blood time for green. So the blood time takes precedence because of the safety and health issue. Blood flowing, spreading disease versus, okay, he's bruised or, whatever. That isn't affecting anyone but him, and they can tend to him, but we don't want this guy bleeding on the mat and being unattended. So if we have multiple things going on, blood takes precedence. So in my example, I said, oh, injury time red, and then, oh my God, he's bleeding. Oh, stop injury clock, blood time green. Well, we got to take care of that. So he's getting kind of a free timeout right now, but if he gets all patched up and it's like, okay, is he ready to go? No, we're still, checking. Okay, resume injury clock on red. So it's just one timeout because we had to interrupt for his blood time, but okay, there's still injury time then until, okay, is he ready now? Okay, stop the injury clock. All right, the clock and blood time is going to run until the treatment has been completed. They can do the cleanup off the clock. So the thing is, the standard is he has to be ready to wrestle, other than having blood on his uniform or on himself. So if we weren't worried about the health and safety, it means, okay, I'm ready to wrestle. He's not ready to wrestle if he's still has to hold his nose like this because it's, squirting out, or they're trying to put Vaseline on his cracked lips and they're still treating that, or they're putting a bandage on and they haven't finished bandaging it, because he has to be ready to wrestle, and he's not ready to wrestle when his friend or the trainer is putting tape on him. And the trainer's like, shh, okay, now he's ready. But he's not ready when there's another, oh, here, come on out to the mat with me and keep putting Vaseline on me or whatever. Or keep plugging my nose. Like, no. Once all that's done, the blood stopped and the treatment's over, okay, now stop the blood clock. And what you want to do in blood time is this is why I remind the trainers in my pre-meet, like, just do a good job with the blood, because you get 5 minutes, you have to put on gloves, it takes extra time, but take an extra few seconds if you need a few more wraps of the bandage, a little bit more of the Vaseline or whatever, because we don't want to save a few seconds here and then we'll be back over here in 5 seconds because you didn't wrap it good enough and now he's bleeding through again. Like, you take a few extra turns of the bandage, a few more seconds, stop the blood clock, and hopefully we never have to stop the match again for this, okay? So clean up, once we stop the clock, then they may, okay, well, we have to clean off that blood here, and he's got some on his uniform, so that's all free time. Now, we're not timing that. And again, until he's all clean, and then now we can have no risk of blood-borne disease being passed from one to the other, that's when we can wrestle. And for them, we exceed either, the only maximum that's defined objectively is a 5-minute cumulative blood time. I've never had anyone get disqualified for exceeding 5 minutes blood time. It's very rare to see that happen. But I have had excessive numbers of timeout. Okay? So what happens is there is no objective standard set that says they only get 2 timeouts or 3 or whatever. It's whatever it is you consider excessive. Okay, what are we going to do here? there is no defined number of them, but whatever you consider excessive, meaning like if I have to keep interrupting this match repeatedly because this guy's bleeding so much, then we're just stopping it. I may not have gotten to 5 minutes blood time, it's just like, this is like the 4th time I've been over here in the last 7 seconds. As soon as you're done plugging his nose, and before we even get into the referee's position, it's already soaked through and he's dripping blood already. Like, this is hopeless. So we can end it when it gets excessive. Now, recovery time is the third type. This is when we have an injury caused by an illegal act. Guy slams another guy. He puts an illegal hold on him and the guy gets injured as a result of the illegal hold. This is what will necessitate us recovery time. This is a signal for recovery time. So injury time's up here, circle. Recovery time red. Blood time is finger to the nose. Blood time green. Okay. So recovery time, illegal action happened and it caused the guy to get injured. So now in the injury timeout, when we take injury timeout, if the guy who got injured can't continue, he loses. In recovery time, if the guy who got injured by the illegal act can't continue, he wins. So the guy that did the illegal thing is not going to get the profit from like, oh good, I slammed you and broke your neck and now I win because you can't continue. That's not an acceptable tactic. So in the recovery time scenario, the injured or offended wrestler is the one that stands to win if this contest cannot continue. Okay. So in case of recovery timeout, they get 2 minutes total. I'm going to try a different cable here. They get 2 minutes total time, okay? And they get 2 minutes every time this happens. So unlike the blood or injury time where it's a cumulative amount, they get 2 times for every instance, meaning this could happen 3 times. They could get 6 minutes of recovery timeout, theoretically, in a match, because once somebody does a penalty for the 4th time, then they lose, they're disqualified. But with the recovery time, 2 minutes each time it happens, okay? And if they're not ready to wrestle and the 2 minutes concludes, then they win, okay? Otherwise, if they say they're ready to go, whether it's injury, blood, or recovery time, once a wrestler and their coach say, okay, he's ready to go, then you know what? From that point forward, we don't care what happened previously. So he's not allowed to go, oh, he got recovery time, but he says, okay, I'm ready to go. Great. We start wrestling, and all of a sudden, whatever it was that got hurt, by the illegal act, suddenly it's like, oh, it's that same shoulder. The guy's just putting a, legal half Nelson or bar arm on him, and he's like, ah! And I go, okay, stop for injury time. And it's like, he can't go on. Okay, well, he loses then. Like, if he couldn't take it, he shouldn't have started. Like, once he decides to wrestle, we don't go, oh, well, because that shoulder got hurt by that slam, if he does anything to that shoulder from that point forward, he's going to win. No, you're not. If you step back on the mat and wrestle, I don't care that you injured that before. That's on you now. You don't get to go, oh, well, this is why I can't wrestle now. Okay, well, if you can't wrestle after you've decided to resume, you lose now. When the timeout's going on, then you just need to position yourself where you can observe the clock. Okay? And I usually go to where the timekeeper is and stand with them, and I'm watching the wrestler and their coach or trainers. And as soon as I see it, okay, ready? Okay, stop the blood clock. Because we don't want to have any loss of control of the person who's keeping the time. Again, because somebody could lose, like if they exceed the maximum. We don't want to be standing over with the wrestler and the coach and everything over here on the other side of the mat, and it's like, okay, we're done, okay, hey, stop clock, and he's not paying attention, stop the blood clock, stop, yeah, okay, how much time do you use? Oh, 5 minutes and 3 seconds. Alright, did he exceed the 5 minutes before I did this? Or, because I'm over on the other side of the mat, and there was this delay of him even seeing me, we don't know. That's why, instead, I'm over here. Okay, stop the blood clock. Like there's no, I can see, oh, it says 4:58, right? So that's why we want to be in that position to control and monitor that clock. The 4th kind of timeout is the official's timeout. This is declared by you, the referee. And you can declare it for whatever reason. There's no definition on the amount of time you can spend or how many times you can do this. It's just up to you. When you feel like you need to stop for some reason, then you can stop it to straighten something out. When you do that, in the middle of a match, keep the wrestlers in the center circle. They're required to stay in the 10-foot circle. This is not a timeout for them. So because I have to go see if the scoreboard is right or address some issue that the coach wants to raise, they're not allowed to be off in their corner, getting a drink of water, getting some coaching. Hey, that kid, watch his single leg, you know, just this, I want you to, like, no, they have to be out in the center of the mat. So you want to coach them, then the opponent gets to hear too, hey, Johnny, watch his single leg. And meanwhile, his opponent's going, oh, hey, I can hear that too. Hey, when he's got his head down, put that half Nelson in. Oh, I better keep my head up. So it's not a timeout for them. All right. One thing, never run simultaneous clocks, okay? This is true probably in every sport, I think, that we don't want the officials' attention to be diverted to multiple clocks simultaneously, okay? We're trying to avoid that. Even in basketball, they have a 24-second clock, right? And then they have the game clock. They turn the 24-second clock off when there's less than 24 seconds left in the period, right? Because they don't want, like, oh, the 24-second clock, it's 24 seconds, but there's only 12 seconds left in the period. Well, no. So turn that off. You're not even looking at that. Otherwise, if there's 24 seconds or more, that clock's active, and the referee can just be watching that clock, knowing that the period's not going to end. That'll run down. Now, again, if there's not more than 24 seconds left, they won't light it back up next time somebody takes possession. But in all sports, we're not trying to operate multiple clocks simultaneously. So it is with injuries. So in my scenario where they comped heads, we don't go, oh, injury time for both of them. Whichever guy you sort of saw first, I saw him wobbling, okay, injury time red. And then, oh, he's bleeding. Okay, stop the injury clock, blood time green. Because we can only assume that, number one, we only have one timekeeper and that they only have one watch. And you should not play that role. Here, give me a stopwatch. You do the injury time, I'll do the blood time. Like, no, that's inappropriate. All right. There's, I wish I could, I'll just turn this around so you guys can sort of see. Let me plug this. All right.
I might have to run to the restroom.
Yeah, go ahead. Real quick, can you do that?
There we go.
So what I'm going to cover next with you guys is a concept called clarification question versus a conference. So what happens in the sport too often is that we have coaches that are interrupting matches because they want to question something. And that's not the way the sport's designed. No sport allows coaches to have uncontrolled access to stopping competition. Can't do it in football. Can't just randomly walk on the field anytime you want and go, oh, don't let them snap the ball yet. I want to talk to you about something. Right? No. Flag, unsportsmanlike conduct or something probably, right? Like, there's a time and place when stuff like that's supposed to happen. So it is with this sport. Same in baseball. They're not allowed to, just walk out onto the middle of the diamond and go, oh, that wasn't a ball. They can't just do that whenever. So same is true in this sport. We don't want interruptions to the match. So we have to be careful as officials that we don't allow coaches to just interrupt matches willy-nilly, because then that means their wrestler's getting a breather when at a time maybe he really needs it. He might be getting some additional sort of coaching up. You're talking to this coach here, meanwhile his assistant's over there telling Johnny, here, make sure, this, get it way up here, He's helping him, So, and the wrestlers aren't wrestling, so it's just not good for them in the middle of a competition, so they have to stop. So, this is why I want to cover this concept with you, and when Scott gets back, we'll get into the details of it, okay? But just know that it's an issue. Officials that don't control this stuff, it's not good for a competition. When I watched this stuff happen, when I was coaching, I hated watching officials that just let coaches get up and interrupt matches all the time. At a time when it's like, let them wrestle. Like, stop interrupting this match. That kid's running out of gas and you're giving him a break. My wrestler's in better shape. Like, stop giving that guy an advantage. My kid should be getting an advantage now because they're tired, and here you are letting him, hey, was that a takedown? Wait a second. So one of the things, and the reason we need to cover this stuff tonight is because again, this stuff you guys are going to be responsible for as the JV officials, because normally the varsity will weigh in with the JV if there's a JV team. So there will be a separate varsity official assigned, and he probably won't be scheduled to show up till either 6 or 6:30. So you'll be running weigh-ins. Now we'll try to, your first experience will get somebody to come out with you, so that you're not all by yourself.
So first year refs, I know myself, I know you guys were refs before, so we're not gonna be, we're just doing JV and youth?
Primarily,
Yeah, okay.
but for guys that advance, I mean, I have apprentice officials that do varsity stuff in the middle of season 1. So if they're good and they advance, they'll move up in level.
You're not throwing me into like, hey, this is a number 5 versus number 6 in the state?
No.
Just to meet your
Yeah, I don't know, that's what I'm
Alright, so maybe you can sort of move your chair that way, Scott, and you can sort of see some of the stuff I'm gonna display.
Is he a weaker now?
Oh, you're talking about the Mill Creek.
Milk.
He's still there.
Have him be your first one.
Careful.
Yeah. Alright, so clarification question versus a conference. I want to make a distinction here. So, coach will have a question. Could be anything. He could disagree with your awarding a near fall or a takedown, or he may have a rules application question, whatever. We don't know exactly what it could be. But a clarification question is something that he can just ask from the bench. We don't need for him to walk over to the scores table and go, hey, and then you have to stop and you walk over to the table with him and there's no wrestling going on and then he asks his question. He can just ask it from the bench, or if it's a tournament, he's sitting in the corner, he can just ask his question from there, okay? And 2 things are possible for you as the referee when somebody asks the question. So if it's truly a clarification question should sound something like this. Hey, was there a near fall with that reversal too? No, just got a 1 count, like something like that, right? It's not, hey, wait a second, how is that stalling? It requires like some conversation. It's just, hey, is the scoreboard right? Oh, wait a second. That green kid just scored and it still says 0. So that's the nature of a clarification question. So when they ask your question, there's 2 possible responses for you. One is you're just going to give them a response without interrupting the match. So for instance, they're wrestling, the guy gets a reversal, the other guy's on his back, and they're out of bounds, so I'm going 2 reversal green, out of bounds, and then as we're walking back to the center to get them reset, and the coach is like, hey, was there a near fall with that reversal? No, didn't get it near fall criteria. Green, you're on the bottom. So see what I just did there? We didn't need a big show. I answered his question, but I didn't interrupt the match. Okay? That's first response that can happen. The second is, I can determine based off what he's just asked whether I want to call an official's timeout. So, okay, we got reversal 2 green, 1001, 2 near fall green, reversal red, 1001, reversal 2 green, 1001, and out of bounds. Alright, let's go back to center. Hey, is that scoreboard right? And within a couple seconds, I'm not sure. My time, wrestlers stay in the center. Now I'll go over to the table and, okay. So we started with green on top, red got the reversal, I remember, and then you got a 2 count, so you had a 2 near fall, so I'll make a determination that I need to call timeout. He's not calling a timeout, I am, because whatever he's raised is like a legitimate question in my own mind. Wait a second, it could be something like, hey, that clock never started when you blew the whistle to start the round. And maybe I'm not sure, that round was going on kind of long. Hey, did you start the clock as soon as so officials time, my time, all right, did you start the clock when I blew the whistle? No, I was delayed by 5 seconds or whatever. Okay. So that's the other response. So either I'm going to answer it and he's going to be satisfied, or I got to call a timeout. Okay. Now the coach has 2 potential reactions to this. Whichever course we went down, he has 2 things he can do. One, he can just accept your response. So, was there a near fall? Nope, he didn't get a 2 count. Okay. He just accepts it, right? It's over. Or he may request a coach's conference. No, it wasn't in criteria. No, he was on his flat on his like, no, he wasn't. Hey, no. Okay. He's not satisfied. He's not going to let it go. So when this happens, then what I want you to do is just ask the coach. Like, you don't feel the need to call an official's timeout. There was no near fall. He was not on his back or whatever. It wasn't in criteria. Okay. If he's insistent, he has the right to call for a conference. He can call for any reason he wants, actually, by rule. It doesn't have to be anything. He can call a conference.
We don't have to accept that, do we, or grant
No,
it?
you have to grant it.
We do.
Yeah, you don't know why he's calling a conference. You may stop the match, and then by procedure, you go over to the scores table with him, and he may go, man, what do you think? You think the Seahawks are going to beat the Rams this weekend? Yeah, I think they will. They beat them down in L.A. They got them at home this time, you know. And I don't think golf's that good, you know. Yeah, I don't think so either. Hey, good conversation. Hey, that's coach misconduct warning on him, right? Like hey, you guys having turkey for Thanksgiving? Yeah, we are. How about you? Yeah, I'm going over to my grandma's house. It could be anything, but if we don't change our ruling, he's going to get a misconduct, penalized for misconduct.
Okay.
So we can't prejudge why he's going to, because he may have a legitimate question. So whatever it is, he gets his. It's just like the red challenge flag in football, right? They could be wasting it. You know, you're like, oh, you shouldn't even bother throwing that flag. Like, you're just wasting your time. Like, there's just no way. But he can do it. And you go, okay, great. You just lost a timeout and a challenge. That's on you, right? So he may call for that. When that happens, and he wants a conference, then what we're going to do is we're going to ask him, Coach, are you requesting a conference? We're going to formalize it. Yes? Okay. All right. Wrestlers, stay in the center. Now I'm going to go over to the table and have a conference with him. Because he requested one. And he knows that he requested one. And he knows what's going to happen. If I don't change the ruling, he's going to get a misconduct. It's that simple. If he doesn't want to risk the misconduct, no, you know, like he's a stew in his seat, you know, he's not happy with your call, but he doesn't want to risk the misconduct penalty. Because the third time he does misconduct, he's ejected. So unlike the red challenge flag where you just run out of flags and you cost yourself time, in this case you run out of flags and you get kicked out of the gym. So, but we're going to ask him that, because then it's up to him to decide he's going to cross that line and go, yes, I want my conference. Okay, there's a risk. All right, so let's do an example here. So, situation, wrestlers go out of bounds, you blow the whistle, and while you're heading back to the center with the wrestlers, the coach on the bench has a question. Hey, was that an escape? So, you're walking by, and without breaking stride, you just say, no escape, green still had control when they landed out of bounds. Red, you're on the bottom, right? So, that's a good clarification question. He wasn't sure, maybe you forgot to throw the signal up, maybe I missed you doing it, whatever. Like, okay, we answered it, we didn't interrupt anything, right? So, he got his answer, and we don't interrupt anything, okay? Now, example 2. Wrestlers go out of bounds, there's a wild scoring flurry like I was doing with the reversal and the near fall, another reversal, near fall, and another reversal, near fall, whatever, like, and we blow the whistle and they go out of bounds, we're going back to the middle, and that's when the coach says, hey, is that scoreboard correct? And the referee looks and goes, I don't know, 12-2, it should be more than 2 for red, I think. So, the referee's going to look at that, decide, you know what, I need to call a timeout. I'm not sure. So I'm going to go over and check with the scorekeeper and the timekeeper and everybody, and we're going to get it all straightened out. So here, again, within a second or two, I can look at the scoreboard and go, gosh, I'm not sure either. Yeah, I need a timeout. I'll go figure this out, okay? So those are clarification questions. All right. So end of meet. So we've wrestled all our matches, right? 14 matches in a dual meet, if you do a full dual meet. End of meet, then our duty, we're going to sign the scorebook, so they'll have the scorebook. We'll go over to the table, sign it. Once we sign the scorebook, our jurisdiction has now ended, okay? So it started the moment we arrived on site. It ended as soon as we signed the scorebook. Now this is consequential just because there could be lines crossed. You don't have the authority to enforce rules anymore on people once you've signed the scorebook. So this could literally happen where, okay, sign the scorebook, turn around, there's some kid going, hey, F you screwed me over. And I can't go, oh, well, there's unsportsmanlike conduct or flagrant misconduct. It's not my jurisdiction anymore. Now, if he did that as I'm walking over to sign the scoreboard, he goes, hey, F you, ref, you screwed me out of that match. Like, all right, now I can't go, hey, that's flagrant misconduct. That guy's out of here, coach. He is gone. All right, let me see the scorebook. We got to change some things now. And now I'll sign it. Okay, so that your duty's over when you sign it. When you sign it, what you're doing is that you're confirming that it's okay. It's not consequential unless the score of the dual meet's really close. So if it's like 58-14, you know what? Who cares if it was supposed to be 58-15 because they added wrong, or 57-14 or whatever. Like, but if it's 31-30, then you ought to start just let's go through this real quick. Okay, they had a pin, so 6-0, and they pinned back 6-6, and they had a forfeit 12-6, like, and then that was a regular decision, so 12-9. Like, just double check it before you sign that. Because once you sign it, you're validating the result. So again, who cares if it was 72-4, if it's slightly wrong. But if it's 31-30 and then you find out, oh no, it was actually 30-30, and then by the tie-breaking criteria, that other team actually should have won. So just do that. Thank your table crew. Again, remember, we're working as a team. I'm always like, hey, thanks so much. Hey, you did great on the timer. You're natural at that, right? Like, I know it was your first time, but you did fine. That was good, you know, like, just encourage them, thank them. And then if you're comfortable, and I say that, if you're comfortable, go and shake hands with the coaches on your way out. If you're not comfortable because they were giving you a bad time and you know, you just sense hostility there, like, I don't know, like, you guys do football, I don't know if you're sort of told don't even engage coaches after the thing's over. I know in basketball they don't. They're like, they don't talk to them before they hit the court, and they don't talk to them as soon as it's over. They are out. Like, there is no engagement between coaches and officials in the sport of basketball. In our sport, it's a lot different. We spend a lot of time at tournaments talking to these coaches, and even at dual meets, but as we're hanging around before the dual meet starts, hey, how's your team doing? How'd you guys do against Kenridge, you know? Like, oh, what was Kenridge's 175? That was the kid that went to state last year, right? Like, you're just talking about this stuff with them. But if you're not comfortable, because it's like that coach was just going off, or you sense hostility, just sign the book to thank the crew, and then just go. Don't engage them. Don't open the door for them to, because it'll be non-productive. Okay, so even I'm very experienced, and if I sense that this is not going to be productive, like if I'm, hey, tough luck on you guys. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, this isn't, you know, if you want to have a discussion, like, if you want to say, can I ask you about that third round in that 182-pound match? Yeah, go ahead. Tell me what was going on there, because I thought that was legal, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, well, I'm perfectly fine to have that discussion with someone after the match is over, or the meet's over, right? As long as, again, it's not just going to turn into a bitch fest, and it's going to be unproductive. All he wants to do is vent, and I'm not going to engage him that way. But if you, okay, well, here's what I saw, right? Like, because he was doing this and it took it that far, and I told him, I thought you could hear me, but I was telling him, don't take that any further. That's why, and then he did, and he oomphed it, and that's why I called him for it. Oh, I didn't hear you telling him that stuff. Yeah. So, if it's productive, fine, I'll do it. But if not, just avoid them and go home. All right, post-event, couple things. If you eject anybody, you have to fill out an online form for the WOA. So there's two things you're going to do. First, you're going to call me once the event's over. So you can either call me when you're sitting in your car or something, or when you get home, but say, hey, Bob, I was out at Franklin High School and I had to kick a kid out. He bit the other kid. So I had to eject him and give him flagrant misconduct. Okay, so then you're going to file an online conduct report with the WOA. You get to that through the central hub. So when you go on Arbiter, go on the central hub, they'll have a link for conduct reports there. You fill that out. Since you've talked to me, then it'll push a notification to me as the assigner, say, okay, you have a conduct report to review. Because we've already talked, I already know, yeah, it was that was that kid from Franklin that bit the other kid, that he told me about that. So when you write your conduct report, just write what happened. So don't embellish too much, don't be too superfluous, but do say stuff that's factually accurate. So, you know, for instance, like if a kid cussed at you, don't just say he cussed. go ahead and write what he said, so that they don't have some sort of, you know, confusion later, like, yeah, your report said he cussed. Well, I didn't cuss, I just said gosh. Versus if the report says, no, he said F you, ref, like if you write that out, like, then they'll know, okay, well, that's pretty serious, versus, oh, he cussed. Yeah, all I said was fiddlesticks. You know, oh, really? You know, the referee's kind of sensitive then, you know? But if the AD and the principal are looking at it, oh, it says, you said F you and put your finger in his chest, okay, well, now it's pretty clear. All right, that has to be done, that has to be submitted within 24 hours if it happens. So that's why as soon as your event's over, or as soon as you get home, you call me and say, hey, I had to do this, I'm putting the report together. Great, I'll expect it and know to get on it and get it turned in before the next day. All right, if you have any exhibition matches are, so you do a dual meet, and then after the dual meet's over, the coaches may say, okay, we're gonna match up these kids now, we got some other, you know, second, third stringers, whatever, like these two, and then we got these two and these two, so you'll do those matches and just count them, because each one of them you'll get paid for. So at the varsity level, it's $4 per exhibition match. At the JV level, it's like $3, and at the middle school level, it's like $2.50. So if they march out 6 more matches, okay, great, 6 times whatever. So report those to me, either through text or email, okay? Either one's fine. Just send me a thing, say, hey, yeah, I was out at Bothell tonight, and I did 5 exhibitions. And that way I'll include it in the charges for that match, so that you'll get paid for that stuff. And then, if you have any concerns or any incidents that happened, then seek out either me or if you have somebody, a mentor in the association that you like to talk to and share stuff with. Don't forget what happened, like process it, think about it, ponder it. My goal is always, when I feel bothered by something or something didn't go well, is to figure out how could I prevent that from ever happening again? Or if I have that situation again, how will I feel better about what I did when that happens again? Because maybe I'll think, I didn't handle that very well. Like I shouldn't have, this is what I should have said to that coach when he asked that question. So think about it in that light, and if you need to, feel free to call. I get calls all the time from guys. Hey, I was up at Blanchette tonight, and then this happened, and that happened, and then did I make the right call? Or should I have done this? Like, it helps to talk to someone else. But again, talk it out and ponder it, not to beat yourself up like, oh man, I screwed that up. Like, no, just, okay, you know what, next time a kid does that, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, when it starts getting a little rough, I'm just gonna blow the whistle and say, guys, we gotta stop being so rough with the, tie-ups. Like, if we're getting right up to the line. If it happens again, I'm just gonna stop and I'm gonna penalize somebody, okay? Like, because that addresses the, you didn't do that when you were officiating that night, and you got a little rough, and then all of a sudden it turned into boom, this guy punched the other guy kind of thing, right? Like, now you learn, I need to nip that in the bud. Like, I saw them getting a little rough, and then that's why I needed to start. Okay, guys, we're getting too rough here. Like, you're right at the limit. If we start doing that again, I'm gonna penalize somebody. Boom, now I don't have the, boom, somebody gets shoved in the face or something. Okay, so think about things for that reason, okay? Not to beat yourself up, but to learn from them, okay? All right, recap, finish off here. So remember, preventive officiating is behind all this stuff. So you see, like, my methodology is like always brief people, prep stuff, get stuff in order, because again, there's certain things you don't want to have to be thinking about or handling when we're in the middle of the competition. I don't want to be thinking about the competency of the scorekeeper in the middle of a critical match, where somebody might lose the match because of their incompetence, when I could have known that they were incompetent before we ever started, and I wouldn't have been known to double check stuff constantly with this person. Versus now we're in the middle of the hottest match of the night, and that's when their incompetence surfaces, and we're in some tangled knot that I can't untangle suddenly, okay? So it's all about being preventive. Set your tone at the start, like, whatever your tone is, set it and keep it that way, okay? And remember, we're the official, like, we have to we have to stay in control ourselves. Like, if we expect the competitors and the coaches to stay in control, we have to stay in control of ourselves. I have officiated with other guys over the years that some of them are hot-headed themselves, and they're like throwing gasoline on fire sometimes, because they're causing the problem with the way they interact with coaches or something, or the way I remember a guy that I officiated at regionals with. He's like yelling at the kid when he's penalizing him for stalling. Like, he was getting mad at the kid, like, just penalize, you don't need to, that's stalling, and like, he's in the kid's face. Like, why are you getting so animated? Just penalize him. Like, you don't need to, you look like an idiot. You're yelling at the kid for stalling, like you're mad at him. Just penalize him. Stalling, green, that's all. That's all you have to do. You don't have to like get in his face and yell at him. It helps to be business-like and consistent, right? So again, I just do all these things. Yeah, hey, let me brief you up. Oh, I've been doing this for you. Oh, that's good. That means you probably, this is all old hat for you then. I'm still going to do it anyway. Or same with the weigh-in procedures. Like, even though I was at that school 2 weeks early, it's like, okay, guys, here we go. And I go, this is the script. Great. All right, let's start. 138-pounder visitors, right? Like, we're just going to do that stuff consistently, right? Because if you do it consistently, it's habit. And if you do stuff by habit, you won't forget, okay? And then the briefings, like I said, the goal of the briefings, help people, equip them to do the right thing. So that you don't have to micromanage them, okay? Alright, so we're kind of late, we ran over a little bit of time there, but this stuff's important because all this procedural crap is the stuff that you never had to really know when you were just competing, okay? But this is your duty. And again, if you mess something up here, this is where you're going to pay potentially dearly if something that's your responsibility gets messed up. That could have been easily avoided simply because you had good habits or you did preventive officiating, okay? Any other questions about anything we covered tonight? Our next session will focus then on what I call the mat mechanics, which is now we have a wrestling match going on. Like, what do we need to be doing position-wise? How do we need to sort of manage through that event? I'll send you a link with some homework before next session as well. I have a few videos about some things that you can watch, because what we'll do is starting next session when we do the mat mechanics, we're going to do some hands-on sort of stuff. Like the hardest thing when you're new to officiating or new to officiating a specific sport is the mechanics. Like, you're just not used to doing them. And in our sport, when you have to get to the point where I know what this is green. Like, I already know that. I don't have to like. So, and I know what the signals are. So, you know, being able to operate in the role, do your mechanics right, just helps with the perception. Everything we do, we're just going to get judged by people off perception. Some of them won't know stuff, but they'll get a sense of you because of how you carry yourself and whether you're crisp or business-like out there. So, you know.
Just sell it.
Yeah, you can sell it, but we'll work on the mat mechanics and some of that. You bring your bands, bring your disc, okay? Because we'll work on something. I'm gonna say, okay, red gets a takedown. 2 red, takedown. Okay? We're gonna practice those mechanics because for those that haven't officiated before, and these two have a little bit, usually, and check me if I'm right, if this was your experience, usually it's not until maybe the second time you officiate you sort of feel like you're getting into your groove. Because it's new and it just, that first time you go out and officiate, you're gonna go, oh crap, did I do that right? Second time you're gonna be worried about it and you're gonna stumble a little bit, but by the third time you get out there, you're gonna be like, okay, yeah, I can do this. It's okay. So we'll practice some of those mechanics in the mat mechanics. And then the last end of that and then the last session are gonna be about detailed sort of rule application stuff. So, like I said, we start, if you guys weren't here at the first session, but we start broad and we work down to narrow. So we don't start in session 1 with, okay, well let's look at, is this a reversal? We do that in the last session because out here, what does it mean to be an official? What does it mean to be a member of WOA, PNWOA? Like, we're narrowing down, like, oh, okay, what does it mean to run an event? Okay, how do you operate on the mat? Okay, now let's apply the rules in specific situations. So we go from broad to specific now, because this is what will prepare you to officiate effectively, okay? So I'll send out the homework again to you guys, probably in about probably sometime on the weekend. I've got a funeral memorial I have to get ready for on Saturday morning, so I'm kind of tied up with some details of that until then. Alright, anything else?
So we got 2 more Thursdays to meet.
When does the season start?
Well, the kids wrestling stuff will start in a week and a half. So the first experiences for brand new guys and for any apprentices, I like to do kids stuff because it's just a good way to sort of kick off the rust. And I just enjoy doing the kids tournament stuff as well anyway, but kids club wrestling will start every Saturday this November. And when they do kids club, they'll usually take a full-size mat and they'll section it into like 3 wrestling surfaces. Because they've got kids from age 5 to 13 that wrestle. And so normally when they're running a kids club event somewhere, they're gonna have anywhere from 6 to 9 wrestling surfaces, and they're gonna need like 8 to 12 officials probably. And so the first couple of kids club events though are basically glorified scrimmages. They're called round robins. There's nothing at stake. Clubs are getting together so that the kids in Club A can wrestle somebody other than their teammates for a change. And so they wrestle round robin, and they don't keep any standings or anything like that. So this is a good place for brand new officials to break in because there's nothing at stake. So if you mess something up, it's like, oh no, some kid isn't going to go to state, or the team's going to lose or whatever. It's like no big deal.
They have kids that wrestle at 5?
Mm-hmm.
And some of these kids you see wrestle.
That's when I started.
Yeah, some of these kids you'll see wrestle at like age 7 or 8 are going to be better than a lot of the high school kids you see wrestling around here.
Yeah, my high school had a program, 5 to whatever, just under high school, that you could do. It's taught by the varsity coach plus some of us wrestlers.
Yeah.
We'd come back and teach them. And then, so by the time they got to high school, they had 10, 12 years of
Yeah,
experience.
they're pretty doggone good.
Yeah, I mean, I started in 7th grade, I think.
Yeah, probably when you're in junior high, right? Like,
Yeah, so.
Are those youth events, all-day events?
not all day, but they'll start time. The appearance time will be like 9:30. They'll start wrestling at 10, and then depending on how many teams and the size of the site, because sometimes they're at middle schools that aren't as big, sometimes they're at high school that are bigger, less clubs or whatever. But they'll usually go like until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe 3 to 5, somewhere in there. When they do the round robin, right, they're doing 3, A versus B, C versus D, A versus C, B versus, so they'll do 3 rounds of matches, and typically, this is sort of just typical, usually about an hour and a half per round. So they'll get done with all round 1, okay, you'll start to cycle those kids through again for the second match. So that's why we start wrestling at 10, and it'll take us maybe 4.5, 5 hours. Like you'll be done probably by 3, typically.
First round goes by fast.
Yeah, but it could be that sometimes again it's a smaller school and they have these really big clubs, and suddenly the 1 round of matches doesn't take an hour and a half; it takes more like 2 hours or something. But again, it's a good place to break in and get the mechanics going and do it in a sort of a no stakes environment. When the kids clubs start to get into their dual meet season, then things will heat up. Like it's actually more intense than most of the stuff you'll do in terms of JV and middle school around here. Because again, you got like parents that are helping coach these kids, and so they have a lot more invested than just a typical high school or middle school coach. All right, very good, guys.
All right.
And then the eligibility center in WOA Central Hub is now available for wrestling, so like the online clinics and stuff are there. Don't take the rules test yet. You can take the online rules clinic. Don't take the test yet until you finish your apprentice training. That way, I'll distribute out to you the study guide, and you guys that weren't here for first session, the study guide they publish has 50 questions on it, and 40 of those questions will be the test. So what's on that study, I will give you this, I will highlight the answers on the study guide and distribute that to you. So you'll know all possible questions, you'll have the answers to them, and then they will draw 40 questions out of that list of 50. It'll be different for each guy. You may get question 13, I might not, right? But you'll get 40 questions. And so you'll have your study guide, you'll have the answers, you'll already be prepped for anything they can throw at you at the test. You just have to get a 70% or higher on the test, which is 28 out of 40 questions, so. But wait until the end of the apprentice sessions before you take the test.
Do we need to print out those certifications, or can you see that we've done it?
You'll see it online for yourself, so when you do it, it doesn't always happen instantly, but
No, I meant like, you know, like we've done the clinic, we got the green check mark.
yeah, I will know once you're certified, then what'll happen is, when I look at Arbor, there's a little badge
Yeah.
that'll appear like next to your name that
Oh, okay.
indicates that you are WA certified at that
Oh,
point.
okay, okay.
If I have any question, then I don't have the ability to look at your status. I used to.
Yeah.
I can't do that, so if I have any question, I'll just contact you and say, hey, Charles, have you taken the test already? And you go, yeah, okay, well, you must not have posted the results yet, you know?
Oh, okay. So I don't have to print out those certificates?
Nah.
Oh,
No, it'll just show up automatically for me.
alright,
So anyway, you can go ahead and get in the eligibility center though and start knocking out some of those
Alright.
things other than the test.
Yeah.
Like if you have to take a concussion clinic and stuff like that.
Yeah,